Welcome in, Divine Collective, Rich Rising, Grand Rising. Welcome in, my TikTok family and YouTube family. It's your girl, Lady Isis, the spiritual detective. And as you can see here, we're going to be talking more about gang stalking, frequency psychosis, and quantum physics. Okay? For those who are new here, make sure you go ahead and leave a comment. And what we're learning about gang stalking and the energy of gang stalking is basically how to transform that term and experience to a more aware perspective versus a fear-based observation. Okay, so that's pretty much what we're talking about, and this is pretty much a continuation of the last two previous lives. So if you have not watched the other videos that I've done on gang stalking on my YouTube, I encourage you to watch those first. To my YouTube family, everything will be linked in the description below. Okay, all of my links, as you can see, my ebook here is 50% off as long as you are purchasing it during this live. Okay, it's a live sale only regarding healing trauma. Okay, because we know now that healing trauma is mandatory if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind and ultimately consciously co-create with the universe in your 3D experience. Okay, so I teach you how to take a comprehensive and transformative approach on your healing journey. Okay, and this is the physical copy of my book, but it's an ebook version that's on sale half off during this live. Okay, but I do have a physical copy on Amazon. I'll have to post the link in the description for TikTok and YouTube because I don't think I have it linked there, but this is pretty much what it looks like. It's not very thick, but it's very powerful. Okay, that's that. And I'm probably going to do a giveaway. I'll have to mention it on my YouTube post. Okay, I'll do a giveaway for my trauma ebook, which will be the physical copy that I just showed you. And I have actually a notebook too. Well, it's not really a notebook. It's a visualizing journal for manifesting. Okay, it's called Shut the F Up and Manifest with Dark Energy. Okay, and it's pretty much just a notebook. Okay, because the objective here is to use your creative power. Okay, by writing and visualizing, meditating, and being conscious about how you are creating a reality. That is the whole objective of this notebook here. So I explain what dark energy is very quickly, and then I give you a detailed example scenario as to how you can visualize, okay, as if you already in the present moment, or what Neville Goddard says, in the wish fulfilled. Okay, so I'm probably more than likely going to do a giveaway, but that information will be posted to my YouTube channel and in the community post. Okay, so make sure you guys are going to subscribe there. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe as well. Everybody is welcome. Okay, somebody coined me. Somebody said I'm running a cult over here, so I just coined myself the conscious cult. Okay, where you can question things. Okay, you can be exactly who you are. You can come and go as you please. Just don't be a leech. Okay, that's all I ask. Just don't be a leech and a parasite. Anybody is welcome in this community. Okay, we are soul family. We are all interconnected. We are all observing, learning, expanding. Okay, that's it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the topic. So gang stalking is often talked about strictly psychological, or as like a social phenomenon. But when we really look deeper, it lines up almost perfectly with the way energy, vibration, and observation work in quantum physics. So quantum physics teaches us that the moment something is observed, it changes. The act of watching alters the behavior of whatever is being watched. It's called the observer effect. And it doesn't just apply to particles in a lab, it applies to human consciousness too. When someone is being gang stalked or feel like they're being gang stalked, the feeling they describe more than anything else is the sense of being constantly observed. Even if they can't prove it physically, their nervous system registers the energetic pressure of eyes on them, attention on them, awareness pointed and directed at them. This is where we coined the term targeted individual, right? Right. So, and what quantum physics shows us is that when attention focuses on you, even at a settled level, your reality does shift, okay? So your vibration changes, your behaviors change, your emotional responses shift. You become hyper aware, not because you are paranoid, but because your energy field is being altered by unwanted observations. So on a quantum level, everything is vibration. Literally everything is moving, just some slower than others, okay? Including you. So every thought, every emotion, every intention is a frequency that interacts with your field. So when multiple people or even one person with a strong intention focuses on you negatively or with hostility or surveillance like energy, that focus becomes a wave. You feel it before you can explain it. You sense it before you can rationalize it. Your spirit picks up the frequency long before your mind translates it into words. So gang stalking isn't just physical behavior. Here they go with their restrictions, but it's all right. We're going to keep going. It's a quantum disturbance. It's interference in your field. This is why targeted individuals often report patterns that outsiders may dismiss or not aware of. Strong noises, people showing up at exact moments and times, or cars pulling out when they step outside, or certain individuals repeating certain behaviors around you or that person. So on the surface, it looks random to a person that's not aware as to the programming that's taking place around them, right? But on a frequency level, it's resonance, okay? When someone's energy field is overwhelmed, the outside world becomes an echoing that pressures back through patterns, because your environment always mirrors the energy being imposed on you. So quantum physics calls that coherence. Energy fields syncing up through pressure. Okay, so spiritually, we experience it as interference. Gang stalking works by trying to collapse your potential. In quantum physics, potential is everything, right? So the infinite possibilities you choose or you can choose from. When someone feels watched, judged, targeted, their energy begins to collapse into fewer emotional states. Fear, hypervigilance, intuition, or natural power. So a collapsed wave is easier to control than an expanded one. So the stalking doesn't need to be extreme. It just needs to be persistent enough to create a constant energetic contraction. But here's the point that I feel most don't know or recognize is the moment you become aware of the quantum mechanics behind this dynamic, the entire system loses its grip, right? So because awareness expands your field again, when you shift My whole screen just went black. Hold on. Okay, so when you shift from I'm being attacked to my field is reacting to the observation, you return to being the observer instead of being observed. Okay, so in quantum physics, the one who observes becomes the one who controls the outcome. This is why awakening individuals like ourselves, okay, especially spiritually intuitive women, often find themselves experiencing gang stalking like patterns. Again, male or female, okay? But a lot of my content is directed towards the feminine. Just saying. Shout out to the masculines out there too. All right. Now, their frequency is rising. Your frequency is rising. So the consciousness is expanding and your vibration is shifting out of old timelines, okay? So as you rise and expand, they become more visible and energetic or on an energetic plane, okay? So more noticeable, more felt. High frequency beings attract attention from low frequency systems the way a bright light attracts insects at night, okay? So it's not a fault in the light, it's resistance in the environment around it, okay? So when you understand this through the lens of quantum physics, right? Gang stalking stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that is happening around you. Okay? Observations. You begin to realize that the real interference is not the people, it's the frequency imbalance, okay? So you're moving into a higher vibrational state and the world around you is glitching because it doesn't know how to process that level of energy. So it reacts. It reacts to the experience. It stutters. It tries to pull you back into coherence with the old reality. Okay? So, but the moment you hold your frequency steady through grounding, breath work, awareness, presence, being present, okay, being grounded, aware as to what's happening, right? The entire structure dissolves. So observation no longer collapses your wave, your consciousness expands it. So this is where that integration happens, right? Okay, you stop being the target and return to being the creator of your reality. You stop being the target and you return to being the creator of your reality. That's important. Okay, because I think a lot of people tend to stop at that awareness and we name it gang stalking and we get stuck at that point and feeling like you're being a targeted individual versus allowing things to align the way it needs to align. Okay, so I'm not here to teach you how to constantly dwell on gang stalking and feeling like you're being targeted. Okay. I'm actually here to help you expand beyond that. I'm not here to invalidate your experience either, because you're experiencing what you're experiencing, but your perception is what needs to expand. And the only way to change your perception is to heal from whatever limited beliefs or fear-based thinking that you have, okay? Very important. So in that moment, the quantum field aligns with you instead of resisting you, okay? So that's the part that I teach, and it's also the part that frees you, collective. Let's continue. So the energy of gang stalking exists because human consciousness can fragment, it can distort, and it can fall out of alignment with the unified field of harmony. Because remember, I said we're all interconnected, right? So naturally, we are supposed to be living in harmony. So when quantum physics says there is no good or bad, Grand Rising, only energy perception. Okay, it means that everything in existence is simply vibration, expressing itself in different states. So a low vibration, according to quantum physics, isn't technically bad or good. It just is. Okay, so it's simply It's simply a collapsed version of a higher frequency. So like a wave frozen in a dense form because it has lost its coherence with its original source. Coherence is the connection, okay? It's the resonance with its original source, okay? So when people ask, why does gang stalking happen to me? Why am I a targeted individual? Why am I being attacked? The answer isn't necessarily good or bad, right? From a quantum perspective. So, but it is still a symptom of a disconnected consciousness acting out of fragmentations. You understand? I see somebody liking the live. Thank you, Frank. I see you. All right. Don't forget, okay, the ebook is on sale during this live. It's 50% off. It's normally $22.22. Right now, it is $10.22. Okay, don't forget to follow and subscribe on YouTube if you would like to enter the running I'm gonna do to win a free copy of the ebook as well in my visualizing journal. Now, in the unified field, the pure quantum field, the field of creation, everything vibrates in harmony. Every particle is connected to every other particle, interconnected. Okay, there's no separation. There's no fear. There's no attacks. There's no harassment. There's no stalking. Okay, but when consciousness experiences trauma, your lower ego, fear, lack, or distortions, it falls out of coherence with that unified field. The moment of being disconnects from its own inner alignment, its vibration becomes jagged, chaotic, and scattered. And a chaotic energy always looks for an outlet. Okay, it's looking for something to attach itself to. Okay, so when we put that in perspective as well, the gang stalking energy that we may feel as we are integrating and quantum leaping, because that's what's initially happening, right? It's the environment responding to that change. It's like you're magnetizing your field and everything around you is responding to that. Okay? And everything outside of you may become chaotic at that point, and it is looking for some type of outlet, which will be you. Okay, the higher vibration being that you are, because everything is just being, right? So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, now it looks for something to attach itself to. It looks for something to control. Okay, because it has lost control of itself. So in actuality, as you raise your frequency, the beings and energies around you that are not resonating on that frequency start to panic. In other words, it starts to become chaotic. So it seems like it's targeting you when really it's a response. Okay? Gang stalking is not an organized universal force. Okay? It's not natural. It is a human projection of fragmented consciousness. It is a collective projection of fragmented collective consciousness. Okay? It's what happens when individuals or groups fall so far into fear, insecurity, psychic disconnections that they start to begin acting as extensions of a fractured frequency. They become carriers of a low vibrational field that is no longer connected to its origins. From a quantum perspective, gang stalking is a field of collapse potential. People acting from their lowest state of awareness, trapped in survival, reacting unconsciously to the energy of someone whose frequency challenges their internal instabilities. The higher the vibration of the awakened individual, the more the lower field scramble in response. So yes, gang stalking can be understood as fragmented quantum fields, a field where the original harmony has been broken into interferences or patterns, okay? It isn't born from source of creation. Do understand that. Okay? It's created when beings drift away from source, from coherence, from unity, and began operating from separation and fear. It's the same way light doesn't create darkness. Darkness appears when light is blocked. That's interesting, right? I always stop there when I reread this, and I dwell on that. So it's the same way that light doesn't create darkness. Okay, so you're not aware of the light unless darkness is there to reveal the light. Okay, so the energy behind gang stalking is essentially a distorted field responding to a coherent field. So when someone rises in consciousness, their energy becomes more organized, more aligned, more whole. And when a coherent field enters a space filled with fragmented fields, the fragmented fields react. They can't stay the same. Okay? They either begin to rise or they resist the rise. That resistance is felt as interference. It feels like people watching, following, or trying to disrupt you. But on the quantum level, what's actually happening is a frequency incapability. Okay? You carry a field that exposes everything around you that is incoherent. People trapped in low frequency patterns unconsciously lock onto a high frequency being the way loose metal filling or loose metal filings will cling onto a magnet. So that takes us back to that magnetism, right? Because you're magnetizing your field. Okay? Okay, Clementine asks, are you saying that the stalkers aren't aware of what they are doing or not necessarily? Not necessarily, okay? It's more so of a response to you. Okay? But again, that's not to take away from the stalking behaviors and your safety. If you don't feel safe, then you need to take the proper steps to make sure that you are safe in your environment. It's not to take away the extent that people will go to keep from being exposed. Because what's happening is their low frequency and vibration is being exposed when they encounter a higher vibing or higher frequency being. Okay? So it's not to take away from those real experiences. What I'm discussing and breaking down is the science behind the gang stalking energy and frequency. It manifests and plays out differently. Some covert, some overt, some more aggressive, some more subtle. Okay? But once you understand the quantum physics and the science behind it, then maybe you will take different steps or observe it differently versus victimizing yourself. Okay? Now, where did I leave off? So people trapped in the low frequency patterns unconsciously lock onto a high frequency being the way a loose metal filings will cling to a magnet. Okay, so you're just attracting everything because your field is magnetizing itself. Okay, and it's noticeable, right? On a frequency level, it's noticeable. People can feel it, whether they're conscious of it or not. They can feel it. Okay. So, not because the magnet is wrong, which will be you. You're not necessarily wrong. You're expanding. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is expanding. Okay. but because the field around it is disorganized, which will be other beings who are not resonating with that expanded frequency. Okay. So gang stalking isn't about good or bad per se. Okay. But again, take the proper precautions that you need to, depending on what you're experiencing in your reality. Okay. It's about coherence versus incoherence. It's simply a result of what happens when fragmented consciousness encounters an expanded consciousness or expanding consciousness. It's a frequency mismatch expressing itself behaviorally, emotionally, and energetically. Okay? And the moment the awakened individual understands this, fear dissolves. Because you recognize that the interference has no power truly. It isn't an intelligent force per se. It's just acting out the frequency. Okay? It's just, all right. So it collapsed. It's a collapsed field responding to a coherent one. Okay, we got that understood. So as you stabilize your vibration, as you anchor deeper into your own unified field, the fragmented frequencies can no longer attach to you, affect you, or distort your experience. They dissolve back into neutrality because your coherence reorganizes the space around you. That's the power of an awakened being. That's the quantum truth behind why gang stalking appears and why it disappears the moment you understand what it really is. Okay? So the main thing is to not panic, collective. Main thing, don't panic, because the moment you panic, you start to slip into what I call frequency psychosis. And why ain't nobody tell me I had that spelled wrong up there, y'all? Is it spelled well? Okay, no, it just look weird. FREQ. That looks weird to me right now. But anyway, it's not spelled wrong. But that is what I call frequency psychosis. It's not because you're crazy, okay? But because fear distorts the quantum field around you. So when someone identifies themselves as a target or a targeted individual, the danger isn't actually the outside world. The call is coming from inside the house, okay? You got to go back within. You have to start questioning yourself, okay? When someone identifies as a targeted individual, the danger isn't actually on the outside world. The danger is that of their own fear, okay? Begins to collapse their field inward, okay? So instead of observing what's happening with neutrality and awareness, they lock into a survival mindset that builds a quantum cage around their energy. And that cage is created by their own perception, not by the external situation or experience. Fear is a frequency that contracts. It shrinks your potential. Grand Rising, it narrows your awareness. It locks you into the lowest possible timeline. Okay? Your field then tightens. Your intuition becomes foggy. Your thoughts start to loop. Okay? Your nervous system fires nonstop at that point. And the more you believe you're trapped, the more trapped you begin to feel. Because the quantum field only mirrors the internal state. The outside world begins to reflect the internal state. The fear instead of the inner knowing. This is why observation is everything. This is why I say practice observing without excessively reacting. If you're practicing something, that means it is a continuation of that thing. So you're constantly in observation mode. Okay? When you are able to step back and simply notice the patterns without attaching fear or emotional timelines, you remain in the role of the observer instead of the victim. Because we don't want to victimize ourselves, because then we begin to stay stuck on that timeline and loop that timeline and experience, okay? So when you panic at the signs of interference or energetic pressure, they stop expanding and start collapsing. Now your whole world feels like it's falling apart. Okay? So when you're able to step back and simply notice the patterns without attaching fear or emotional storylines, you remain in the role of the observer instead of the victim. The observer has the power. Hence the term practice observing without excessively reacting. That is the acronym for power. I want you to stay in your power. I don't want you to practice victimizing yourself. No, you want to practice observing. You are not a victim. You are the creator of your reality. You have the power. We've been led to believe that we don't, due to all different types of mechanisms. Okay? Social engineering, the different psychological tactics, all of the things, emotional manipulations, nervous system manipulations, your senses being manipulated, all different type of things. But all of that collapse when you stay in the observer effect. Okay? When you learn to observe the situation and not become the situation, especially if it don't serve your highest good. Okay? So the observer is the power. The observer sees through the illusions. The observer affects the outcome. But the moment you shift into fear, you hand your power over to that interference. You stop being the observer and become the observed. You see how that go? You make yourself a target when you focus on being a target, and you focus on the circumstance and the situation versus observing you. Okay? You stop being the observer and become the observed. You stop directing your reality and start reacting to it. Okay? And this is exactly why these experiences will reveal where healing still needs to happen. Okay, so if someone immediately spirals into paranoia, panic, victimization, telling their subconscious mind, that they're not safe, or obsessively analyzing their situation from a fear-based mindset, okay, what you're telling your subconscious mind is that you still have wounds, okay, and that you're not safe. That's an old programming. Okay, that's a trauma loop that's still trying to control your reality. And it hasn't been integrated and made whole, right? It's trauma fragments that needs to be integrated and made whole, which is ultimately alchemy. Okay, you have to alchemize those wounds that don't serve your highest timeline, your highest frequency, your highest vibration. So that is the moment where you have to do the footwork and learn to heal, okay? And don't victimize yourself. Question yourself, okay? Get the ebook, okay? Now, where did I leave off? The old programming, right? And it's okay. So trauma loops that haven't been integrated, because a regulated nervous system doesn't collapse under energetic pressure. Okay? A regulated nervous system does not contract under energetic pressure. So the intent from the outside interferences, right, is to get you to fold under that energetic pressure. Because the energies that are observing you are observing you as a threat to their energy, to their frequency. So they're seeking to regulate their energetic field by dysregulating your nervous system to get you to lower your frequency and your vibration. Okay? So the objective is to heal and regulate your nervous system. Once you regulate your nervous system, then outside interferences can no longer affect your frequency. And then you will not victimize yourself and, live in the experience of being stalked, harassed, and a victim. Okay? So a healed field doesn't react to the noise. A healed field doesn't react to the noise. It seals your field when you are healed. That just rhymed. But yeah, it stays grounded, okay? So a reprogrammed subconscious doesn't feed into fear. It interprets everything through clarity and awareness. Very important. Raising your frequency means your systems or your nervous system begins to expose everything within you that is still operating from fear, abandonment, insecurity, or survival mode. The interference is not the problem. It's the catalyst. Okay? We got to change our perception and our perspective. Change your perspective and change your perception. Okay? It means further investigation. Your nervous system is a decoder of the energy and frequency that you are feeling. Okay, so your nervous system is reading the energy and frequency that you are feeling. It's up to you to decode what it is. Integrate that, heal that, make it whole. Okay, and expand your awareness. Gain the power and control over your mind and over your field. Okay. Now, raising your frequency means your system begins to expose everything within you that is still operating from fear, abandonment, insecurity, and survival mode. The interference is not the problem, it's the catalyst. It is the catalyst to healing, higher consciousness, higher awareness, and ultimately a more expanded frequency. Okay. It pulls you up, or it pulls up whatever hasn't been integrated so you can finally see it for what it is, okay? When people panic, or when you start to panic, you're not responding to the external experience. You're responding to the unhealed parts within yourself, okay? And it's the parts of you, it's the unhealed parts of you that have been triggered, okay? So there is not being stalked by strangers per se. Okay, I want to say per se, and I want to say that loosely because people are cray like that. And yes, people do stalk people. Again, this is not to take away from your experiences. Do not misinterpret the message. Okay, it's not to take away from anybody's experience. Okay, don't misinterpret it. And don't try to take it somewhere that I'm not where I'm not putting it down at. All right. I don't want to hear that in the comments, especially when I put it on YouTube. Y'all love to create your own narratives around what's actually being said, and because of your own fears and your own egos and all of the things, okay? Do not do that. I want you for once to step out of the victim mentality and just really try to understand what's being put down here, okay? And analyze it. Now, It's a possibility. If you look at it from a bigger perspective, that you're not being stalked by strangers per se. You're being stalked by your own unresolved wounds, okay? So when you truly understand that, everything shifts in your reality. And if it shifts within, it shifts without. The moment you stay calm and simply observe it. I mean, because really, when you really realize the patterns, the programming, how random people doing what they do, how the environments just seem to always do the same thing, it becomes repetitive. It's almost like comical. Like, okay, I see what's going on here. This is just a programming. It's the same hive mind matrix programming that's rooted in fear acting out. Okay, these are NPCs acting out. It becomes not even as serious as you originally may have given it, the power that you had given it. Okay, so once you see the patterns and you observe it and you stay calm, you realize that fear was making it more than what it actually is. Okay, so your field, okay, so you stay calm, you observing, your field your field stays open, okay, versus closing off and collapsing, right? So when your field is open, nothing can trap you, okay? Nothing can cage you, nothing can attach to you, okay? You move from being a targeted individual to being a sovereign individual whose frequency is too coherent to be manipulated. Okay? Your energy becomes the dominant field. Your subconscious becomes the anchor instead of the saboteur. Okay? So you no longer self-sabotaging yourself based off of what you are observing. Okay? And the interference dissolves because there is nothing left within you for it to hook on to. Okay? To me, and if this message resonates with you, this is the real message behind the gang stalking frequency. Okay? It's not necessarily a punishment, and it don't have to necessarily be a sign of danger. It's about your perception and your perspective. It's a mirror showing where your subconscious still needs strengthening, clearing, and reprogramming. Once those areas are integrated, made whole again, not fragmented, the entire phenomenon of being gang stalked and being a targeted individual collapses. You no longer identify with that idea or that perception. Because in quantum physics, right, you have to observe it for it to even be a factor in your reality. If you choose to observe that experience, you can also choose to not identify with that experience and not victimize yourself. I see what's happening here. This NPC is trying to lower my frequency. This NPC is trying to, siphon my energy or get me to lower my vibration. Then you switch your perception. You switch your focus. Okay? You don't become hyper focused on that, because then you start to infinitely produce that. This is why I say, whether you are fear-based minded or love-based minded or wherever you are in your journey, you are constantly creating your reality out of fear or out of love. And then that manifests in an infinite amount of experiences. Because the universe is infinite. It's infinite, it's infinite. You get what I'm saying? Black Neo says control one's focal point, 0 point. Exactly. So I want people to understand that you have the power to create your reality and your experiences. Whatever that is. Whatever you are experiencing. Okay? I experience things too. I experienced situations where I felt like my life was in danger. All different type of things have happened in my reality. But I had to detach from being a target and detach from the concept of everything is against me and started to integrate anything that didn't serve my highest good and highest timeline so that I can then experience all things working for me versus against me. And I now view that resistance as incoherence, as not being resonate or not resonating with my internal frequency, right? So it's a response. It's not something that I need to identify with or label myself with. Okay? So everything is a mirror showing where your subconscious still needs strengthening, clearing, and reprogramming. Once those areas are integrated within your subconscious mind, the entire phenomenon collapses because the only thing that kept it alive was the fear-based interpretation of what was happening or what is happening. Freedom comes from the moment you stop panicking and start observing with mastery, with strategy. Okay? That's when your frequency becomes untouchable, collective. Okay? So, any questions? If not, I'm going to go ahead and leave this transmission here. Okay? I'm going to read a few of the comments if you guys want to comment as well. But this is a very complex topic, and I feel like we're going to have to talk about this a little bit more and in sections, okay? So we can't just go talking about it one time and be one and done. No, because this is very complex, okay? It's definitely multi-layered, right? And it's something that does need to be talked about because we are experiencing what we're experiencing, and we want to be able to look at things from a more healed perspective. You say alchemy number 0, take it back to source. Love your frequency, goddess. Ashe, because that's what it's all about, right? It's about reconnecting to source. That's what it's all about. Okay. And it's about, we can't wake other people up unless they want to wake up. Okay. But we can at least equip ourselves on how to handle those type of encounters where when you encounter people who are not, their frequency is detached from source, right? So this is about equipping yourself. This is about using the tools that you learn, okay? Because we learn a lot. We learn a lot, right? We watch things, we watch lectures, we study all of the things, okay? But you have to integrate that knowledge, okay? It's up to you to integrate that knowledge. Say greetings, thank you. When will you be back on live? I'll try to go live once a day, Monday through Friday, around this time. So around 11 a.m. Okay. But if you don't catch the live, I will post them to my YouTube. Okay. I will post the entire live to my YouTube. So again, don't forget to grab the ebook if you haven't already. It's 50% off. Okay. I might keep it like that a few minutes after I get off live. But other than that, it's going back to regular price, which is $22.22. We are the bridge to the higher realms. All of us hold the keys. We just got to wake it up. We just got to wake it up within each other. Because I'm only here to remind you of what you already know. I'm here to remind you to go within, stay within. Okay, that's your power. Stay within yourself. Okay, you control your outside experiences by what you believe and what you know on the inside, what your frequency is within. Okay, so I teach you, I'm always direct you right back in. Okay, you can't control nothing else. You can't control other people and their frequencies. You can control you though, and your experience and how you perceive your experience. Ashe. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a big, beautiful day on purpose with a purpose. If you would like to talk more about a specific topic, you can leave that suggestion in the comments, okay? And I'll try to cover it as best I can. But like I said, gang stalking, frequency psychosis, quantum physics, social engineering, okay, is a very complex topic. So we're definitely going to come back and revisit this topic probably in the next live. You said the moon frequency tries to flip our confidence zeroed out. Okay, yeah, I get what you said, but I'm about to get off live, so I don't want to keep engaging because I'm timing myself. We got 12:34 on the clock. So again, have a big, beautiful day, and I will catch y'all next time. I say to my YouTube family as well. See y'all later.